to What the Fuck Did I Just Read? The Tech, Sales, and Marketing Edition. This is going to be a blast.
This isn't just a podcast to have a conversation. This is a podcast to affect change.
It's kind of our outlet for therapy, to just let it rip. All right. That was pretty exciting, I have to say. I like that trailer. I don't know if it's going live. Is it going live on the actual feed? Maybe.
I don't know. It's just failed to post comment. Did I confuse the darn thing?
Maybe.
I'm not. I gotta press go. Yep, there we go. I gotta turn the bloody
Yeah, we're
volume
good.
up.
All right, it looks like it's playing. It looks like we're live. All right. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay in terms of us pressing hit and then going live. So sometimes I'm like, holy moly, are we is it actually working? Yes, the tool's working. Okay, so we are back. Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech Sales and Marketing Edition. Yes, it's flowing off the tongue after 7 episodes. We're all good. Love it. I am your co-host, Dani Woolf.
I am the willing cohort, Chris Roberts.
And we are back from overseas. We just crossed paths in the air just
Pretty
a
much.
couple days ago.
I did say I was going to wiggle the wings, but I was warned off from doing that.
How was it? Tell me. First time ever in Saudi Arabia?
First time out of uniform in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah, last time I was there, I was in uniform. It was a whole lot longer ago, and I was behind a whole bunch of barbed wire until they shipped us out to other places. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's I went in with the least amount of like preconceived thoughts and ideas as to what it was going to be like and how it was going to be and all that kind of craziness. And I'm glad I did, because I mean, it far exceeded expectations. Fantastic hosts, I mean, some amazing conversations. And it's interesting because you've got that whole like Middle East region has just this amazing thirst for knowledge. I mean, there's a crazy amount of just history over there, and an amazing amount of just thirst and desire to understand, to know, to get better, to improve. And you chuck Saudi into it, which, let's face it, has definitely been in the news for all sorts of reasons, some fair and some foul. And you start looking at the differences from then until now, the last like 5-10 years, and you're like, okay, there's some really, really cool things that they're doing. But I mean, the infrastructure is nuts. I mean, if you take a look at where Dubai is and how much that's expanded over the last 5-10 years, and you look at what Saudi, especially Riyadh, is doing from like building out the infrastructure and the architecture, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how they embrace the tech and the ideology of that area. Let alone the fact there were some things that I think we need to set the record straight on, like, tech and people in tech and women in tech and all sorts of other things. It was, definitely challenged some of the things that we think and understand. Oh, and the food, to one of the comments. Food was fantastic. God, I so love Middle Eastern food. And that just, it was another one of those bar raising experiences. So yeah, rather fantastic.
Well, I mean, we have to have an episode on the Middle Eastern market. Like, that should be its own dedicated episode. It might actually take a few episodes to talk about that. But
yeah,
what would you say is one kind of differentiator, or what's the difference in the Middle East market from a security perspective that vendors and also buyers need to know in terms of what maturity or buying or culture or buying preferences? What kind of stands out to you?
I think there's a number of things. I mean, for me, I was very fortunate. I got into the conference a day ahead of that because I turned up. They flew me out, and I turned up on Monday. And so I wandered over. I was taken over to the conference. They drove me over, and I got to hang out at the place while they were still building it. So looking around at all the companies that we're not used to seeing, and so many organizations and entities in that hall that I'd never heard of. And I think that was probably one of the biggest surprises, at least going into there, was, one of those expectations. We were thinking, Europe and the Americas market, we've got the market cornered in VARs and suppliers and content companies and stuff. And we forget the vast number of organizations that are out there that don't even set foot inside these regions. So that was one. Secondly, probably more important than most, I stood on the corner, because I actually challenged myself on this one. I stood on the corner of like several of the main areas, and I counted. I actually even have it in my book. And normally when you go to a lot of the European and US conferences, the ratio is typically about maybe 10 women to every 90 men, give or take, about maybe 15 or 20 if you're lucky. This hovered between 35 and 45. So yeah, it surprised the living heck out of me. And one of those other challenges that was rather interesting is there was a mix. You had a mix of folks that were completely covered, and you had a mix of folks that were either covered or partially covered, or all were being respectful, whichever way you want to look at it. So it was actually really, really nice to see. Shed ton load of students as well, something you typically don't see so much at like Black Hat and RSA.
Mm-hmm.
In Europe and the Americas, was there a ton of students. I had some amazing student conversations just stood in the middle of some of the booths. I think how the booths handled people was another one of those interesting points. I mean, in the US, you do tend to find, in Europe to some degree, more the US though, you do tend to feel like you're a piece of meat walking around the market, literally walking around the market. You know, everybody's trying to scan your badge and literally turn a rugby tackle you to scan the badge. Yet over there, it was a much more respectful level of conversation. And only after having a conversation, if it looked like there was any kind of a follow-on, it was like, we'd love to have a conversation with you. And then it went from there. Very little in ways of giveaways, very little bullshit and plastic crap to be given away. Very, very little insofar as like freebies and crap like that. Yes, everybody got offered, almost every booth had like either Arabic coffee or espressos. So there was that stereotype of dates at like almost every booth, which was so good. It's so nice having dates. I mean, you get them over here and they're like, you get them over there and it's like,
mm-hmm. Looks like we have a guest with us, Milo. I see him on full screen, but we're cropped here. There he is. Little floof.
He's missed me. He met me at the airport and said hi, and he's missed me.
What up, Milo? Okay, well, Milo's been on almost every episode, by the way. Not just WTF. He's also been on Audience First, and he's been on Dr. Dark Web. So he is he's a groupie here. We accept. Entity. Yeah, he's a known entity. We accept animals on the show. Okay, so last week was actually quite a success. I was thrilled. We had about 36 or 40 people, I think, live on the show. And we went through, I think, 5 or 6 questions. We had leftovers from last week. And so I'm going to be peppering those in throughout the course of this conversation. Before we do that teardown and after we do the teardown. But before we get into it, to the audience, please prep your questions. We're going to be bringing you on live to ask us questions. It's an AMA here, live AMA. Feel free to come on. We'll let you ask Chris or myself a question. If you don't feel comfortable, you can drop your question in the comments and I'll read that out for you. That also works. All right, so let's get into it. We have one unanswered question from last week. And I think this is a nice segue into what we're doing and to the teardown. So Chris, how would you like to be invited to a webinar or an online event like this one?
Oh man, there are ways to do it and there are ways not to do it, aren't there? Good grief alive. And I think it's tough. You know, I'm debating whether just to go straight for the jugular here. And I mean, I literally wanted to reach down the computer line, just like rip out the lungs and bash them with the soggy ends. I was not a happy bunny when I saw this because, I mean, you know, it's like you go away for a week and yes, you try to keep up with everything. I came back and I'm like clearing through messages. I almost clicked connect. I almost clicked, join or whatever on this one. I'm like, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty because, you're right. You really want. I think even most of the vendors have got it wrong. They're like, you get this inbound spam email with like 25 graphic images a whole bunch of other crud on it, and they like, join us. And typically that join us is next week or this week. Now, I'm not sure about any other senior leadership type folks that are on this one, or actually,
Can you all hear me now? Thumbs up for yes, you can hear Dani. All right. Apologies for technical difficulty. Oh, let's ping Chris. Yay, you can hear me. Cool. Let's ping Christopher. All right, I think he's coming back in. Let's see. I see someone in the waiting room, and here we go.
there we go. Well,
We
sorry
are
about
we are officially back again.
that. Sure what happened there. If that was, it looks like I had a hiccup on this end.
Life happened.
I'm not sure who. Yeah, it's now. I've now got it running on phone. The problem with this new blasted house is not exactly. You still got me, or are you losing me?
No, I got you.
Okay, all right, just checking. It's
there might be a little bit of a delay though. FYI, not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do. I'm not sure if these things are running properly or if there's problems with.
Yeah, we'll run it for now, and if there are difficulties, we'll figure it out as we go. But for now, we're good. And we had you at this kind of pose where you were just frozen for a minute, talking about about to go
Give me
with
a
the
second.
teardown.
I'm going to drop back onto the other network and keep your fingers crossed.
Got it. All right. Thank you for those who are still on the call. Chris is going to drop. We're going to try this out again. Let's see. In the meantime, prep your questions. We will be doing the teardown in just a minute, and then the build up, and then go into the live Q&A. We have some people already in the waiting room ready to join us and ask their juicy questions. Love it. And if you, by the way, if you didn't catch last week's session, it's already up on WTF.com. You can check out the last 2 episodes we published this week, actually. We were a little bit late to pressing send, but you could check those out. Quite juicy episodes. All right. Looks like Chris is frozen, or he's just very, very concentrated on internet connection. All right. Nope, he's frozen. Okay, we have some listeners in from last week, which is awesome, and new people in this week as well. Awesome. Welcome back for the 3rd time, Mr. Charm.
Sorry about that. Apparently, when you try to explain that you want to rip a vendor's lungs out and bash them up with the internet, so we'll restrict that to carpet bombing them with a load full of manure, and we'll just call it good on that one, shall we?
Oh, will do. All right. Shall we get into it? The famous calendar bombing.
Oh man, yeah. So I put a LinkedIn post up on this one. It's part of the reason we have the link for this. But lo and behold, the inbound, and it came in, yeah, I guess what, Saturday as well, forget it, because we're Monday, isn't it? It's the 21st here in this neck of the woods. So first and foremost, it comes in on Saturday. So we'll start with the easy one. And then it was like, hey, Chris, this is weird. Well, yeah, no shit, it's weird. But with all the development recruiters spamming you, including you, I knew getting your attention would require something creative and out of the inbox. Yeah, so you missed my inbox altogether and you went straight for my calendar. I'm going to hurt you. I run a boutique dev staffing firm, blah, 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 blah. And I love the fact that they're actually doing stuff in like Belarus, Armenia, and Turkey. Totally awesome. Love the idea. Love actually development folks from out of the country because they're amazing. However, this is not how to introduce them. 30 days.
Oh, we might have lost Chris again. Damn. Yeah. Okay. We lost Chris again. Let's try it again. Let's see. Shoot him an email. We're going to have to figure this out next time. Damn. Sorry, folks. And quite an angry pose, too. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. We're going to figure this out. The technical difficulties here on Chris's connection. So if you are interested in coming on live, prep your questions and I'll bring you in and I'll shoot you a link to the waiting room. We have a couple people waiting on the line and Chris is down. Anyway, also, if you haven't done so already, this is my shameless plug time. If you haven't done this already, please subscribe to our podcast. This is really, really cool. And rate us as well. We would love to get a rating and feedback from you and how we can do better. Now let's try this for the fourth time. Fourth time's a charm?
I don't know. We'll see. The internet was shaky. It seems to be back up. Let's keep your fingers crossed, or keeping my fingers crossed at this moment in time.
Cool. All right. So we were should we start over?
Yeah. Me every time I try to use Teams. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's annoying as all heck, isn't it? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the problem with moving from a house that had, gig broadband into now a place that we've got 2 satellite dishes pointing to the nearest ruddy antenna, and at most we're pulling like 40 or 50 meg out of the darn thing. So we'll see. Let's see what happens. All right. How far did we get? Did we start the rant, or did I get cut off before the rant?
I don't think we really started the rant. Let's start over.
All right. So let's start with this. First and foremost, she hit me up on an email on Saturday. So it hits the inbox. Now, I'm one of those ADHD people that if I see email come in, I got to deal with it. So you've annoyed the hell out of me because you spoiled my Saturday. Well, secondly, I was on a bloody airplane on Saturday anyway, just the same as you were. So you're clogging up my inbox, especially when I'm actually in restricted bandwidth sitting on a bloody airplane. Then you turn around and try to actually brush everything off mid-rant. Yeah. This is one of those, it's frustrating because, the biggest thing I think on this one for me, please excuse the red herring invite. No, I'm not going to excuse the red herring invite. Absolutely not at all. And I think this is that beg for forgiveness thing, which I can deal with some points, but not in this case. Not when you actually just hit my inbox and you put a meeting on my calendar. And you put a meeting on my calendar for 6:30 at night. What the actual heck or hell? I don't care. I'm out of the Middle East. I can swear again. Just bullshit. So, and I think it annoys the heck out of me for a whole bunch of different reasons. One, you're presumptuous enough to assume you can just put something on the calendar, it's going to stick. Secondly, you put something on my calendar, and unbeknownst to you, and let's face it, most of us the same way. My calendar hits my laptop, my iPad, my iPhone, and my other iPad, and my other works up. So my calendars are shared between like 4 or 5 different systems. That way, I can try to keep everything in sync between this and the hillbilly stuff, obviously boom stuff and personal stuff. So they're shared across different systems. So now you put something on, and let's face it, calendaring software is not exactly the best stuff on the planet. We haven't been able to fix calendaring software, and we're what, how many years into this rubbish? So I delete it from one, and it's like, okay, now I got to delete it from another one. Now it gets annoyed, and it kind of comes back, and then I walk on another system. It's like, hi, do you want to accept this? All because your muppet fucking ass decided you were going to try and be smart, and it wasn't. And this is not good. And I put a LinkedIn post out about this, which was more a case. And there were some people like, oh, ignore it. No, because it's on my calendar, and I can't ignore things on my calendar. Then others are like, well, respond with 50-minute invites. No, that takes freaking time.
Mm.
You've swallowed my time up. So no longer have you just put something in my inbox or in my spam folder, and I got to go hunt that with a sodding shotgun. But now you hit the damn calendar, and you're presumptuous enough of an ass to think that I'm actually going to be able to jump on a call at 6:30. You've taken no time to understand your audience. You've taken no time to actually think before hitting the send button. I take a break. I'm very, very blunt about how I do things. I work typically from 10 in the morning, or 9, 10 in the morning till 6 at night. Then I break. I break to hang out with the dogs. I break to hang out with Jen sometimes. I break to cook food. I get back on at like 10 o'clock at night, and then 10 o'clock at night till, whatever, midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I do my own things. So you presume to send me something on a calendar right in the middle of dinner time. Not smart, not intuitive, just, I don't get it. I just, and I don't get calendar bombs. Apparently, talking to some of the folks, these are semi-regular. I'm like, God forbids, whatever deity you believe in, I will hunt that person down, and I will introduce you to your deity a lot faster than you expect.
Oof.
Because that's just bullshit.
Mm.
It's so freaking disrespectful.
So the alternative is don't. And how do we get on your calendar successfully? Oh, we got it. We lost him for the 5th time. Damn. All right. Well, this is just suspense. Love it. All right, let's see. Let's see. Times charm. Okie dokie. Seriously, the topic is cursed. It's causing technical issues. All right. Or it's just Monday. It's probably just Monday. And Restream doesn't want to work with us today. Still getting over the weekend. Cool. So we have 3 people on waiting to come on. We're going to have 2 questions, another 4 questions waiting on for Chris. That's awesome. Okay. Maybe, Dan, that might work. Yeah, seriously. It needs some Turkish coffee. Bandwidth needs Turkish coffee. Some of this stuff here. Nope. All right. Anybody, if anybody has feedback apart from this episode, which is fumbling hard on the previous episodes, let me know. You can email me at danny@wtf.com. I'd love to know what you think. And if there are any topics that are of interest to you that would help you do better in terms of your communication, let us know as well. we'd love to dig into that. We get some requests from people on specific themes that they'd like for us to discuss. So happy to have you on the show as well. We can riff on that too. Okay. All right. Let's hope Chris comes on. If not, we might have to kick this off another time, but I'm crossing fingers that he's going to reboot and come back on. Sweet. By the way, what did you all think of the trailer in the beginning? That's new stuff that we've done. We're trying to kind of diversify some of the content. Did you all like it? Did you all think it could have been done better? Nice. We have a new question in. See if we can get Gil on. All right. Amen. Cool. Justin, you may be right. You may be right. Okay, I'm going to invite some more guests who are going to be joining if Chris comes on. This is the waiting room. I feel like I should have prepped better and had like dance moves ready to entertain you all, because Chris has most of the juicy stuff to say, not me. I'm just here to facilitate the conversation. Oh my gosh. Okay. Cool. Oh. Yeah, so if Chris comes back on, we are going to bring in the live Q&A, but you know what? Let's bring on a happy helper to fill in and chat with me so that you all are entertained. Let's bring in Stephen Martin, who's been part of this conversation. Steve, you are here to save the day while Chris is figuring out the internet issues. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for bringing me on. Obviously, I'm no Chris Roberts, so I'm known in the industry as kind of my name would allude to. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all you. Sounds like we have some lagging on audio also with you. Maybe it's me.
You loud and clear.
Okay. I'm sorry, folks. All right. What are we chatting about? What do you want to chat about and entertain our audience here? We have 27 on live.
You know, one of the things that I think was interesting about the trip over to Saudi Arabia is kind of that intersection between and, you know, diverse thinking. So those were, you know, for Chris, obviously in that trip, I was curious as to things that were asked of Chris, unique ways of thinking there, you know. So
yeah.
We have Chris back on.
We have Chris back on. And thanks, Stephen, for filling in here. Chris, we brought on a happy helper who was willing to come on and help us entertain our guests while you were figuring out your connection issues. Is it all working now?
No, so I'm going off the phone at the moment. So
Gotcha.
I'll turn the video off and let's just see what happens.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Stephen, seems like your audio is cutting in and out. So I'm gonna drop you for now because the audio is sounding pretty iffy across the board. But why don't you drop your message in the chat, your question in the chat, and I'll read that out for you, and we'll discuss it. Okay. All right. So, Chris, we're gonna bring on Tracy, who was on last week, all the way from the Cayman Islands, and as I bring her on, I want us to discuss that one thing that you wanted to talk about last week, which was the perception of what's free and not free. And yes, I see Tracy nodding her head. You still there, Chris, by the way? Just checking.
Yeah, I hope so. I think you still got me.
Cool. Yeah, I still got you. All right. We have Tracy on the line. Tracy, why don't we get you in the middle a little bit?
Hi, can you hear me?
Tracy, you with it? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. That's me. That's Mango. That's my dog.
Cool. It looks like we dropped Chris down.
Conversation.
Oh man.
Oh, again. I did, and it's bad enough that I'm calling from the Cayman Islands and I have a clear feed. We have coconut wire as infrastructure. Like seriously.
All right, I'm going to ask all guests to just drop video so that we could focus on audio and make sure bandwidth is working well. Chris dropped. Folks, totally sorry for this technical issues here today. If this persists, we might drop this session and reschedule to make sure that we're not wasting everybody's time. Though we did plan for an hour session, we have 30 minutes left. So Tracy, why don't you drop your video, and then we'll stick to audio. And then I'm going to ping Chris again. And if he says that we need to reschedule, we're going to reschedule because I want to make sure we're getting to all the good questions that you all have.
Yeah, because I said he was on his phone now.
Yep. The joys of moving houses. All right. Tracy, can you drop your video?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Cool. All right. Oh, well, she dropped off altogether. All right. Here we go. When you all come on to the waiting room, make sure that you drop your video and just come on with audio, okay? Let's see where Chris is again. I'm going to see if we could reschedule here. See, this is unexpected. All right, let's wait another couple of minutes, see if Chris comes back on. If he comes back on, then we're going to try it for the 6th. Is it the 5th or the 6th time? Either 5th or 6th. And if not, I'm going to part ways and reschedule this episode so that we could do it once more. Hopefully y'all will make it back again with your live questions. Yeah. Martin, you want to come on, Martin, to help with stalling? How about that? Who wants to come on and chat? Let's see. Sending out to Martin. I'm going to bring on Gil. Gil, are you ready to come on?
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well, Gil. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Gil, where are you from?
Everything okay? I'm from Blast Security. I'm an account executive. We are located in Tel Aviv, Israel, of course.
Okay.
And my question was, Chris, obviously, was we are a new company right now, okay? And I need to reach out to all these CISOs, talk about my product, and see if I can get things moving and in what direction. And the thing is that I'm trying to take this new approach that we spoke about last week here. And I was wondering, like some other people wrote in the comments here, like what are the to-dos in this case? Like, I need to do all the approach. I need to have this chat with them. I need to get like inside their circles. But if I can't do it the way I know, so how should I do it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I will say, shameless plug, head over to Audience First, audience1st.fm. You'll find a lot of that information there in the podcast episodes.
Can you
I've
maybe like put it in the comments? Like,
Yep, I'll plug in Audience First podcast that gives you an understanding of how to approach the C-suite, and other security practitioners as well, and not just the C-suite, just how they like to be approached and how to build that relationship capital. We also had a 3-series panel on this particular topic last month with quite a few people. I will make sure that I'm going to drop in those specific episodes and all the other podcast episodes that are relevant to your question. Again, it is dependent on the particular person, but the general approach you can find through those episodes for sure. But
okay, yeah.
I will say, should Chris come back on, we could go into the details of what he likes. But until then, I'll definitely share that with you and the rest of the folks here.
Okay, happy to hear that. Thank you very much, Danny.
All right. Thanks, Gil. I'm going to bring on Martin now, who's going to help out with some of the conversation. All right. Martin, how's it going? Welcome back. Oh, can't hear you. Drop your video, man.
No video. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so I'm happy to jump on that question, but also I have a question for you, Danny. Is that possible? I don't want to talk to Chris. I don't want to talk to Chris.
Oh my gosh, someone wants to talk to me. Happy times. Cool.
I'll do my best Chris Roberts impersonation. If you're going
oh my God, don't do that. He'll slam you with something.
Okay. So as someone that's been in the industry for a long time, for a couple of questions, from a couple of different companies, and you've basically done it. You've done the services, you've done the product side of cybersecurity. What are the things that you can do with upcoming events? Because everyone's got a booth, everyone's got a coffee, everyone's got a whiskey, what are the things that really attract the conversation as opposed to paying someone to moderate an event in London, which I've done before, which was like meh? What's the special stuff that actually is attractive to people attending cybersecurity events? I know that you've been behind the scenes organizing a lot of this stuff. So if you could share one or two things that's like, this is specifically what I did, this is why I did it, and this is something that you should think about, that would really be helpful.
Yeah, so there are two things that are very prominent in the discussions that I have with security pros. One, yes, the people. Well, that is it's centered around the people, and what do the people like? They like to learn and they like to connect with their own kind. And so, as a vendor, how can I foster, one, education, and two, the relationship and peer-to-peer building for them, right? So one specific tactic that's worked for me in the past is, instead of showing demos of my product, how can I get people to use my product and feel it for themselves and learn while doing it? So just recently in Black Hat, what we've done, and by no means solely my idea, but the idea of the marketing team, the CMO there as well, was to provide an educational and dynamic experience through capture the flag games with the product. So we're a threat intelligence company.
Very cool.
And we let them kind of dig through the dark web and have them actually experience the product through CTF challenges. So one, it was fun. Two, it was educational. Three, it was a good use of time in terms of them experiencing the product. And it was a great use of time for us to get feedback as well. Two is facilitating the discussion between peers. So if you do have customers, bring them to the show and have a panel or a roundtable at your booth so that people can actually hear the stories of the customer. Or you have a podcast, do a live podcast at the show. That's a great thing. I mean, Axonius does that at almost every event. Super cool. They're bringing in, uh, champions in the industry to talk about a particular theme or topic that resonates with the other audience. Or you could also have just a mixer in your booth or to facilitate that discussion. So I'd say utilize those two tactics to facilitate the discussion between peers and also to have a dynamic experience for educational experience for your audience.
Super valuable. Thank you so much. Bonus
Yeah.
question: when are you doing a live event in Israel?
Oh, so that's a great idea. I don't know, maybe in January, something like that. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I got a place for you to do it. Thank you so much, Dani.
All right, Martin. I'm going to bring on James. Hey, James.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you. I love seeing that last week's visitors are joining again. That's loyalty. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. Before I ask my question, I just want to say you've gracefully handled the technical difficulties today, and it's probably only made us love you even more. So keep it up.
Yeah, I'm glad none of you can sense my frustration and my near conniption that I had 5 minutes ago. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, so to get to my question, it's my question's for you as well, and
Cool.
it's that I've been in the cybersecurity industry for about 3.5 years. I started noticing there was a disconnect between the way vendors are going to market and the way that my customers want to buy as I started to learn a little bit more about them. And I guess I'm curious to know, when was that moment for you, that kind of light bulb moment of like, hey, like something needs to change? Like, when did you start seeing that, and what was that feeling like?
I think I had a few of those light bulb moments, and the first two times I was in denial and kind of like shoved them to the side. Um, so okay, Steven's back on. So yeah, the third time where it finally occurred to me, I think uh was in the second cybersecurity job, second cybersecurity marketing job that I had. I moved vendors, and I knew that all of the tactics that I was doing were okay, but they weren't really hitting the mark in terms of resonating with my buyers, making sure that my buyers were having a good experience, right? And I took a look at the revenue numbers. The conversion numbers from at the top of the funnel were really good, but I took a look at the revenue numbers and it was just like totally underwhelming. And I know that it's not solely on me to hit revenue. You have sales process, you have customer success and all that kind of stuff. But when you took a look at the marketing sourced, opportunities, it just was totally underwhelming. And that's when I knew that I needed to switch things up. That's when I knew that I needed to understand the people that I was actually marketing and selling to. And then I just stopped everything in my tracks. I killed particular programs that weren't, that were just really a waste of money and not, I realized that nobody was really going to buy from me if I was going to continue doing this. I was just going to flood the market with more noise. So yeah, it was definitely when I kind of leveled up in my position as well. So I went from manager to director. I kind of got to look at the more strategic side of things as well. So that's also thinking back, that's also an interesting kind of that's also interesting retrospection. When I leveled up in terms of seniority in my position, that's also when I realized that got to make some trade-offs. You have to kill some things in order to grow. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, Dani.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, let's try bringing any more questions. By the way, James, I know that you and I have spoken offline as well. I know you have some.
I do have one follow-up question. You mentioned something that I've been kind of noodling on myself and following some other folks on LinkedIn about tying marketing's comp to revenue. How do you think that would change the behaviors of cybersecurity marketers specifically? And do you think that's a viable way forward to kind of incentivize the correct behavior that actually leads to close one revenue? And can you give me your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I was always incentivized at some level on the revenue. Maybe not as aggressively, as the salespeople who will have that direct kind of responsibility to bringing the revenue on. But I think I think if more organizations are more aggressive, slightly more aggressively incentivizing marketing, there might be some changes. But I'm, thinking about it now, I'm not sure that solely changing KPIs and metrics will do the trick. I mean, maybe it's a step forward, but there are a lot of other elements that I think that need to be changed before the metrics are changed. And that's mindset altogether. And that isn't as tangible as changing metrics, right? And it's not as easy as changing metrics. Mindset, there needs to be a shift in the mindset of the organization if the marketing function is going to do right by the customer, if sales, customer success, R&D, product, founders are going to do right by the customer and increase revenue. So metrics, yes. Also, not just revenue, right? I think there are other particular metrics that aren't directly measured by marketing. Marketing is a customer experience function, in my opinion, not just a lead gen function or a revenue generation function. It's like, how do I, as a person working in a sales function, right? Because marketing is a sales function to some degree, create a good experience for my customer all around. So there are there are particular CX metrics I think that need to be plugged in that aren't measured right now from the marketing function. And I think once we focus on that, there might be some slight change as well. So first internal shift and then outer shift, which are the KPIs.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you, Dani.
Okay. And Gil thinks it's not. Gil thinks it's not a marketing, a CX function. Maybe not. Happy to hear opinions here, by the way. Let's see if I can get also. All right. Let's see if I can get Tracy back on. James, thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, Dani.
Right. Tracy, still with us? All right. Maybe not. I'm going to see if I can try and invite Carlos. Carlos has actually been on our panel, our 3-series panel, and I want to see if life has changed after the panel, because he had 3 hours to ask questions for CISO. So let's see if Carlos will come back on and share with us if he has improved, if life has improved. Here we go. We're bringing on Carlos. All right. Hey, Carlos.
Hey, what's up?
Good, stranger. How you doing?
Doing all right. I think I should probably kill my. There we go.
Well,
We're good, right?
we're good. We can hear you loud and clear.
Nice. I had to, I think, kill my regular stream. I was getting a little feedback, so I'm good to go.
Cool. Well, the big question for you, Carlos, is: did life change after the CISO Sellers panel?
I think as much as anything, it probably confirmed as much as anything that it's as important as ever to treat marketing and sales as we're selling to humans, like it's a human process, right? I think that one of the things, especially that the cybersecurity, buyers don't like, but I think it probably goes across the board, is, these random reach outs, calendar bombing, sort of a, spray and pray approach that tends to hurt your brand, push people away as opposed to pull people in. And I think, one of the things that I started doing, especially when, getting into a new market or starting a new job, you just got to build brick by brick. You can't necessarily think that you're going to be able to blow it up on day one, even though I know there's a lot of pressure to do that. So that's kind of, it reconfirmed, I think, a lot of that. And the dialogue, especially with Dimitri and Chris, was, and Erica, was really helpful to kind of solidify some of that and kind of get that thought leadership going,
Yeah. Has it been easier for you to approach, more C-level buyers You got some tactical advice on that 3-part series. Has any of that been applied and has worked for you?
I think so. I've started to kind of create my own like list of people that I'm asking to opt in. So I have about 100 or so people that I'm inviting to our monthly events and webinars. And what I do is I turn off all marketing to them from our company, and so I just invite them individually. And I've just kind of I started doing that more after that event, and asking people on LinkedIn, hey, would you like to join my list so that you can get information about content, as opposed to, hey, can we sit down for 15 minutes and talk about something, right? I
Mhm.
think that's something that I've, really started to do more and more.
I see that you're becoming increasingly more active also in posting videos and providing value, educational material on LinkedIn. That in conjunction with connecting to the right audience. Have you seen that help in terms of establishing some credibility on your end and trust with those you're trying to connect with on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny that you hear people start to say, "Oh, I'm following you," or "I'm watching what you're doing." And I think that sometimes when we're kind of getting started in kind of content creation, we don't see that necessarily, right? We see whatever our small little metrics are. We feel like in comparison to the big world of putting stuff out there, but there are people watching, and people have made those comments to me, and people have reached out, even younger kids, hey, can you give me some advice on those sort of things? And I try to do that, and I think that's all about giving back. And it's that whole less transactional, more relationship based approach, which goes a long way, and it's really the only way to build a sustainable your own brand in terms of doing this stuff, right, regardless of where you're working.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a really good episode where Dimitri and and by the way, thank you for introducing Dimitri. Carlos, everybody introduced me to Dimitri, who came on Audience First podcast to interview me as a marketer, which was absolutely phenomenal. It was a great episode. I'll link that in the comments as well. And now Dimitri is the principal CISO advisor at Audience First, which is awesome. So kudos to you,
You
Carlos.
got it.
That was really awesome. Dimitri, that episode was so good in terms
Mm,
of showing the value of building the relationship and what it can do from you from a revenue perspective, not just in your current position, but down the line, and why and holding those relationships is critical in security because of turnover. CISOs jump from job to job, right? So I urge you to take a look at that, or take a look. You can read the show notes of that episode and also listen to the episode, which was fascinating. Carlos, a pleasure as always
you
chatting.
got
You're
it. No.
always welcome back. Hope to see you next week when
Yep.
Chris is live. I'm gonna
No,
bring on Tracy.
you're killing it. Keep going.
Thanks, Carlos.
Okay, catch you
Appreciate
later.
you.
Yeah,
All
bye.
right, let's bring on Tracy now and see if this works out. Tracy, here we go. Tracy, shall we try again? Can you hear me? Okay. Maybe not. Okay, we'll try again next week, folks. So I'm going to okay, we have 5 minutes left, 7 minutes left. We're going to be wrapping up as always. Um it's a pleasure to have you all on the show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reschedule this live episode with Chris so that you all have an opportunity to ask him the questions that you have for him. You could always ask me questions as always, but I know that a lot of us want to get his input. So once I have that rescheduled, I'll shoot a message in the comments of this live stream, and I'll reach out to you to let you know when that's happening. It'll be updated on Audience First company page. If you have feedback on this episode and all the other previous episodes, please let us know. I know I mentioned that a couple times. Today's session wasn't what the fuck did I just read? It was what the fuck just happened. That's today's episode, and that's okay. We are human. Life happens, blips happen, but we made the best of this situation. Thank you to all of you who have come on live to help me run the show. This is what it's about. Handling handling fumbles as they come. So thank you for everybody who came on, and join us next week for another episode. We might do this session next week, or we might do it later this week. I'll let you know. But every Monday we're going live at the same hour, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So join us. I'll be shooting out a message. And again, thank you very, very much, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy your week.